Druid. That change your mind at all, Derek?
Not really. This is the bans that I was definitely expecting going into this series. The Hunter is, in my opinion, the best anti-control, anti-druid deck that both of these players have available to them. So just getting that out of the way and giving their, I would say, both of their druids a good chance to sweep through.
Yeah, and it does magnify the difference that I'm sure you're going to talk about in a minute. So if you want to explain why you think Orange is slightly favoured.
Derek, talk about this first game.
Very nice matchup to get things rolling with. This is a matchup that has been very, very important in this meta for a long time now, ever since even Warlock started to become a deck. And I have heard vastly differing opinions as the meta has developed and more expansions have come out. However, when you draw the orange hand, like Orange has done here, you're probably in a pretty good spot to be winning the game.
There's some good cards in Orange's hand.
Yeah.
And not many bad ones. Oh my goodness, now he's got the naturalized just in case he's going to get a giant in the face. He's got everything going for him.
Okay, let's see if we can guess this correctly. How long before Casie starts laughing?
I reckon he'll give a little clap as soon as the giant gets naturalized on turn 5.
Okay, yeah, I'll agree with that. I think as soon as Twig comes down, he's going to give a little smirk.
Oh, do we start with the smirks and move on to the claps later?
There we go. That's the Twig smirk. That is a Twig smirk.
Okay, so the clap is coming next turn.
Yeah, clap comes with the nourish into naturalize. Because, again, for those of you who maybe haven't played quite as much Druid, Orange has pretty much the perfect hand. If he can get himself an ultimate infestation to ramp up to, then that is the absolute dream.
Casie just sat right back in his seat and like, yeah, here we go. There's the laugh. And do we get the clap?
Just a smirk.
Maybe he won't do that with Orange. It is a little bit sarcastic when he does that. Maybe he respects Orange so much that he's not going to give that.
I mean, he knows he's been got, basically. This is pretty much the absolute dream for Orange here. If he could just get himself, like I said, an ultimate infestation to really close things out, then he is looking to be in a pretty much unlosable spot. Even though there is the ooze to deal with the Twig, obviously in the moment, the fact that he has Dream Petal Florist means, oh my god.
There it is.
As soon as Malagos is found, he doesn't even need the Twig, because he can just go Dream Petal Florist, reduce the cost of Malagos, and continue on his merry way.
And it is a very merry way if you're in Orange's corner here, I think.
Yeah.
Just everything he could possibly want has happened here.
Because even the fact, obviously there is the ooze in Casey's hand. Having to spend 2 mana when you maybe want to develop a Dread Infernal or a Lich King if it's in a couple of turns, that's a big disadvantage in terms of what you're trying to advance.
Yeah, he's just putting down the thing with the biggest attack every turn and just hoping it doesn't get blown up, and every turn Orange has blown it up.
So far, Orange this game has gone. He's had Wild Growth, Twig, Nourish, Naturalize into Coin Ultimate Infestation.
Yeah, he had to burn a branching path along the way. Oh no.
Oh, boo-hoo.
And Casie knew it was bad because he branched past for 1 card and then just chose armor after the 1 card. So he knew exactly what that card was.
This'll be good.
Casie, obviously, the reason he can play so quickly is his incredible hand reading. Like, he knows what's coming before it arrives.
Yeah.
He has made mistakes by playing that fast at times.
Yes, I agree. Singapore in particular, there were some plays that I think he will agree were far from optimal.
Imagine if we saw, like, Casie that knew when to slow down. Because he's always saying slow down, but he only needs to slow down on like 1 turn per tournament. He doesn't know which turn that is. You can't just slow down your natural play style. And it does win him matches.
That is 2 damage off lethal right now for Orange. He can go... Okay, so there's plenty of options here, so he does need to take this slow. We could see Florist right now for a 50-50 that basically wins him the game if it hits Malagos. We could see, as it looks like he's leaning for, Alexstrasza face into Ghoul attacking face as well, which sets up very likely for lethal on the following turn. It would have to be a pretty tremendous series of attacks for Casie to be able to pull things back. And even if he can, through the use of Spellstone and a whole bunch of trades, there's still Florist for a 100% chance to hit Malagos on the next turn.
Yeah, the beetle will gain 3, which will make it just a little bit irritating, but he's still got an 8-8 and a 5-5 that needs to be dealt with. There's no sort of taunt up available for Casie. Obviously, he can play the Lich King, but he doesn't taunt up.
I also like from Orange the use of Spellstone instead of Naturalize on the Drake there, because I think the health total really doesn't matter anymore on the minions, it's more the attack. And 4 attack versus 3 attack is not that much.
Yeah.
So save the naturalize for the Lich King. Maybe that matters later on down the line. Who knows?
Yeah, or even if, again, if there's a Sun Fury or something, maybe
Something
that
like
helps.
that. Yeah. And so here we go, the absolute maximum heal for Casie on this turn, getting himself very nicely out of range of dying to Malagos on this turn. But after Dream Petal comes down, we would imagine on this turn, it's still looking pretty much like lights out for Casie.
Yeah, all that was just like the preview to what's actually going to happen. This was just stopping Casie from winning by trying to kill him, and now you've got rid of all the threats pretty much, and you've still got nearly all the things you need to win already.
That was the overture, whereas this is the main piece.
Opera.
And here it is, Lich King coming down, trying to wrestle things back. But I think we can pretty plainly see, what is this, 12, 19 damage. Enough to close out the game. And Orange, after what was one of the easiest games to play, I think we can agree he just drew the right cards, has done it. He went about it in the right way, and I think he deserved the win. You know, it was difficult to play wrong, but he didn't make any mistakes so far as I saw.
Casey's face just tells so many different stories. Like the sort of shrug and the lean on that hand while Orange is just killing him. It's like, just quickly, it looks amazing. If we saw all of his off-stream games, we'd just see how amazing he does.
And here it is starting to look a little bit shaky for Casie, because if he loses this matchup as well, again with it being last year standing, his last vestige of hope is the Shudderwock Shaman up against the Malagos Druid from Orange. And I think we can both agree, Shudderwock Shaman is just miserable against Malagos Druid now. The matchup has gone very heavily in the Druid's favour.
Yeah, Druid just... It has so many options. I mean, Druid, you just put 20 cards in your deck that are all the same, and then you tweak it to the meta.
Yeah.
So at any point something gets better with Druid, you just change your deck by 10 cards, beats them again. Not quite that simple, obviously, otherwise everyone would be doing it, but...
That was wild.
As we already, I believe, have many interesting talking points in this matchup. Casie having, well...
and there
of these
goes
players,
all the interesting talking points.
No, not at all. Both of these players have got pretty much what you're looking for in the starting turns. Wild Growth into Nourish, sure, brilliant. Well done, everybody. Where it gets interesting is how you start to play the mid-game of this matchup, because that very much dictates what your overall plan is. Casie obviously has the ability to ramp up into Ultimate Infestation very quickly, but you need to be very careful about drawing cards full stop in this matchup.
Right, both players can draw so much armor if it gets that way that the fatigue can become a factor.
So that's it. There's not that many threats in the Druid. So after you've dealt with their Malagos and their Lich King and their Alexstrasza, and if you have survived all of that, then it becomes fatigue. That's the win condition, so you have to be able to win in fatigue. So while I'm not saying that every card drawn is a mistake, far from it, every card drawn is a very active decision as to how you want to play the game.
And I must admit, I would back Orange against nearly anybody in the entire world, Casie or otherwise, in any Malagos mirror. He's just played thousands of games of this over the last few months, kept up with every tweak along the way. Discussed it all with Hunter Ace, which is always a nice thing to have on your side as well.
I mean, I would say even more than kept up with every tweak, he's made most of them. He's been setting the trends. He is the gold standard for Malagos Druid. And here we go.
There was
He
just a
doesn't
little
want to do
pause
it.
there
Exactly.
before he hit the button, but he knows he's out of stuff.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't really allow the UI. It might force the Ultimate Infestation for Casie, but it doesn't allow it as such, because you go 2 cards behind if you're Casie.
However, the fact that you get a 5/5 body out of it is pretty big, actually. Getting a 5/5 in your deck where your opponent doesn't have that, because they may never be able to cast the Ultimate Infestation, is a rather large deal.
Yeah, the play has forced Casie into this. Is forced Casie to go behind in fatigue by going ahead on the board yourself. Kind of clever.
Oh, and here we start to see some very, very important cards being picked up by Casie. Obviously, Malfurion. As soon as you get that, the ability to OTK your opponent with Malagos becomes significantly more difficult. As we're seeing here from Casie, a strong admission that he knows the burst is not the main way he wins this matchup.
And 3 points of damage swing per turn for the next 15 turns is gigantic.
Big, very, very big.
So that has been cut down, and everybody loves the Lich King here. You hear them all in the background.
My thoughts are plagued.
Faceless just seems to jump in and out of this deck.
Yeah, I mean, Casie and Orange were having, I won't say an argument, a discussion about this before the tournament, where Orange was saying he doesn't like it messes with Dream Petal Florist too much in his opinion, whereas Casie was saying it's so versatile, Faceless is just good in this meta, because there's so many cubes knocking about.
That actually sums up both players' style of learning and playing as well. Orange likes to know what his deck does, have a very clear path to victory against different decks, whereas Casie likes to go, I like to be inventive when I'm playing, so he likes to have the versatility. It's only a one-card choice, but I feel that neither is right or wrong. It suits each, and I know people hate this phrase, but players do have preferred styles.
Yes.
It is just a thing. The game is too complex. There is a correct right and wrong. I'm not going to deny it.
Yeah.
But nobody knows what it is, so your style then comes into play.
And they also have limitations. Orange is a player who I think will self-admit he used to be not that amazing of a Hearthstone player.
Right.
He's worked incredibly hard to get to the level that he is today, which is far from a slight to him at all. I have tremendous respect for Orange and the way he approaches the game. But it does mean he likes to get a deck, know every card in it, how it works, and grind 100, 200, 300, 400 games with it.
And if he makes a change, it's because he wants to make that change, because it suits how he finds the gaps in the game to be for how he plays. And again, Casie, I mean, the reason he's such an amazing Miracle Rogue player is the way he uses all the options to the max in 0.1 seconds somehow. Like, you'd think it'd be the other way around. You'd think that the guy who'd done all the learning, if you want to, again, that sounds slightly insulting to Orange, but to get the point across, you think he would be the one who would play quicker. And the versatile guy would be the one considering the options, but it's just the other way around.
It is indeed, but as we've been nattering on, this game has been speeding up rather quickly. The Faceless coming down for Casie, again, being used not for the combo. He is very quickly dismantling his Malagos combo by using the Moonfire on the Poisonous Spider, using the Faceless here just on the Lich King. And now it means that because he's done that, he has got a pretty strong lead on board control here with the Alexstrasza, pushing a lot of damage through to face, and he might just be killing his opponent with a board of decent-sized minions.
Yep. It's going to be interesting if they both survive, which they might not, looking at their hands, how these Frostmourns work out.
Yes.
Because whoever can get an amazing Frostmourn without dying will win the game if somehow they both survive these next 3 turns anyway.
Well, I mean, Casie has the Twig. He doesn't have the Frostmourn at the moment. It's just Orange, which is a decent advantage. I think mostly in terms of damage through to face. You probably don't want to be soaking too much damage with it if possible.
Just getting the minion he can. Getting double Lich King. And in a resource battle, Lich Kings are amazing.
And just look how they're playing this. This is not how Malagos Druid is quote-unquote supposed to work.
Right.
You're supposed to draw through your whole deck, play Dream Petal to reduce the Malagos and deal 40 damage to them in one turn. Both players realize that is not a valid win condition, so they are scrabbling for board so that their opponent's armor gain cannot save them from the jaws of death.
And Orange has managed to preserve, though, this hand on the left-hand side, this massive damage, which won't be used as the normal combo most likely. He'll just have one turn where he just goes, here's a load of damage. Wear it.
Pretty much. He has now played the Floop, I believe, as a Lich King, so his damage is somewhat severely reduced, I think it's fair to say.
Ferocious Howl's okay, because even though we're talking about fatigue battles, you don't go very deep into fatigue usually.
You generally just play Howl. Like,
so just get
the armor. Exactly, because it means it's way more difficult for your opponent to kill you in the immediate, which is also a very valid consideration in this matchup, as Casey's face says it all. Losing the Malagos here is one massive threat that he has to deal with now, and I believe he's used both naturalizers already.
So Orange can get the first Malagos down here, just may choose to use the Moonfires on face, but probably won't, and then he's just got swipe afterwards anyway.
Like, sometimes it's worth considering that stealing Malagos is not that important because you have double naturalize to be able to deal with the Malagos from your opponent. But with them being used up now, these Malagis for Orange are going to be devastating.
Anti-Magic Shell doing some good work here. But yeah, Dreamhack seems like a good use here.
Orange
this
realizing...
might get the clap from Casie.
Yeah, he's realizing that Casie is trying to set up for a double branching path lethal here. which is a good spot. A weaker player might be too focused on their own win condition, whereas we can clearly see now Orange is just letting it rip here. And while he is significantly further behind on fatigue now,
he's got everything else.
He's just got everything else, exactly. He knows there's no answer for the Malagos.
And this is why this is such a hard matchup to play, because there's no general rules. I mean, there's general rules in Hearthstone are bad in any way, we know that, but yeah, they help you learn a deck. But this one's just like, do what wins, the general rule. It's like, that's just horrible to have to tell somebody. How do you win? Well, do the thing that wins.
Which is why it's so important that Orange has made this deck his deck of choice for the last however many months.
Yes.
If he'd been playing nothing but Shuttlebox Shaman, say, for the last however many months and was just approaching this deck for the first time, Casie would be miles in the lead, even if Casie hadn't played much of it either, because he is the stronger, intuitive player, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But Orange, because he knows this deck inside and out, I think is making some pretty nice plays here.
Yeah, and Casie has used a lot of minions, even the smaller ones, just to be minions, to try and get that advantage through early. And he's kind of out of stuff now. Remember that Malagos was stolen, so he doesn't have that out. He's got to find a way to make this Lich King go all the way. Yeah. Which seems like a big deal.
It feels weird considering that there have been 4 Lich Kings hitting the board so far, and Casie now makes this one the 5th, playing it from his deck.
Yeah, playing things from your deck in 2018. Come on. He has managed to get a massive health lead. I mean, we can see that's going to be rapidly sort of got rid of by Orange. But Casie has generated... I always find it interesting how people do generate some sort of chance to win.
And, you know, Obliterate is something to be able to start pulling this back. But the thing is, Orange just has 2 Malagos here. He can go for Malagos, Malagos, swipe, Moonfire, Moonfire. Which wouldn't actually be enough to win the game right now, so maybe we see
he might be calculating
Malagos
as well. If I get rid of the cheap Malagos, swipe, maybe Moonfire the Lich King, do I win because Casey's out of things?
Right.
He's going through his head, I think, thinking, what can he actually kill me with
Lich
if I
King
go
cards
for this?
change this?
Yeah, that makes things really messy.
Yeah. Well, I think ignoring the Lich King, going for the full like Malagos combo next turn is a bit optimistic. I think Orange will realize he doesn't need to do it all in one turn because the naturalizers have been used up. It has to be Obliterate or Doom Pact for this to be cleared off.
He does a lot of damage here if he Malagoses,
swipe the Lich King.
Yeah.
I think you can just Malagos swipe the Lich King and then not play Moonfires, because if the Malagos survives, he can go Malagos again next turn and double Moonfire for way more damage.
Yeah, next turn.
I like this.
He's got proc the twig into UIU for 15 as well while you're at it, just in case it's not enough.
Why not?
As long as you don't mill yourself to death, I don't see any reason not to. And Casie now is officially out of things to do that make any sense.
And even if he does go for the Obliterate here, he has to tank 12. That's fine. That's how much damage the Malagos was going to do anyway, give or take. A little bit less.
Estimates are good.
Actually, it's a fair bit less with the attack as well. But Orange, this is not a game-losing occurrence for him.
And he's seen that, and now he's like, okay, well, here comes the second of the Malagis.
I think it might just be Alex Straza next turn, actually. Or maybe both. Why not Alex Straza?
Why not both? Seems good. What are you going to do? Spreading Plague me? I mean, yes, but... Yes.
And this has been such an explosive game. This is not the way this generally goes in the mirror.
Right.
Usually both players draw okay, not incredibly well, as both players have done here. And it goes to fatigue, you have to hold back your card draw, prioritize naturalizers, and where to use them. This has been an incredibly explosive game. 5 Lich Kings played.
And there's the health total lead for Orange now, after... Just shows how quickly, if it goes wrong, that armor vanishes, which is why, even though it's handy, when you've lost your Malagos, kind of doomed.
Yeah. And just the body of the Malagos here is what I think is really going to devastate Casie.
Out of cards.
Go on, Tyrant, you can do this. Don't think it can.
Yeah. He knows what's up.
I think... Yeah. Casey's board shakes. He has given up. He's 2-0 down. That's 5-0 down. He's been winning every match off street.
Yeah, he's been doing very well.
Orange will feel really comfortable, obviously, now.
And those games are so difficult to analyze at the speed at which these players play.
Casey's really hard to cast.
He's really difficult to cast.
How quick he plays.
because the confidence that Casie plays with fools you into thinking he's making perfect play.
Yeah.
Because one, he's so blooming good at Hearthstone and he usually doesn't make mistakes. And he's just a very confident man with the way he talks about the game.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to contradict him. But I'm sure, you know, the real druid gods of this world, like I'm sure, I don't know, Noblord's watching, he will be sitting there rolling his eyes at all these terrible plays that have been made. Whereas, in our opinion, they look like just strong ways to play
Plus
the
we
matchup.
have 2 seconds to analyse it.
Yes, exactly.
There might be 2 of us, so it's equates to 4 seconds of caster brain time.
I think it actually goes the other way. When we just make it worse when we try and think together.
Thanks, Derek.
But now Casie has his own dollop of good luck, it would seem, with Keleseth into a nice far sight as well. Maybe he can get himself a chain gang going nice and early on here to get that board presence
Wild
rolling.
Growth to just appear with his hand there instead of Lich King. It's like something felt wrong about that. But yeah, now he is going to get this early beats down. You need to as well. Even if it doesn't win you the game, you need to make it so that your Shudderwock can be played frivolously.
Yeah.
And with double Keleseth in the Shudderwock pool, your Shudderwock can be played frivolously.
That's true. That's actually not a bad point, because if you do end up on a board with like 3 or 4 Shudderwocks, what does the Druid do against that?
It dies.
It dies, exactly. And that's how you have to play this matchup, because before the Boomstay project came out, I would put this matchup at being very close to a 50-50.
Yeah, I think it was one that people actually argued about.
Exactly. Yeah, it was, well, whichever side the pro player was playing was probably the favoured side, because they were playing the deck better than the average ladder player. Now I think it's unanimously very agreed upon as being Druid favoured, because even if they have Ooze to break the twig, you have Flute and you have Florist, which is all the difference in the world. It means you can just OTK them so consistently.
Yep, going to slow down that mana gain. This is basically gaining mana and occupying the board. Protects itself at the same time.
That's fair.
Didn't mess around with the second Keleseth just yet, just making sure he's mana efficient. Because you've got to keep the pain going. The Druid deals with a lot of the early stuff until it does run out of removal, so as many cards as possible, and now you get the Keleseth into the Mana Tide turn.
Yeah, Casie does just need to be a little bit afraid of spreading play is the main thing right now, but I suppose with a Mind Control tech in hand, and the fact that all of his minions are not that small, they're pretty, you know, they can start trading in fairly effectively. I think he's happy to take it as he's going here, just putting out minions on the board, drawing as many cards as possible.
Yeah, playing 4 minions against Druid when I've got Mind Control tech in my hand in any deck is always a play I like. Because they're going to play spreading plague at some point, so instead of messing around, it's a good time to force them to play it.
Good.
You're laughing at me, what have I done?
No, I'm just wondering if Orange goes face here, because even his hesitation here possibly indicates to Casie that he has the spreading plague. Like hovering with this card here, if you didn't have spreading plague, you'd throw down the Tyrant here every day of the week. You would have been a snap play. And I wonder if the slight hesitation here for Orange is leading to Casie knowing that the spreading plague is there.
Do you think for Casie a slight hesitation feels like 0 seconds, or do you think it feels like hours? Because it's like his brain's going so what is this 0.1 seconds of which you're making me wait?
Like, even the fact that Orange didn't think about whether he wanted to play Flute as a Tyrant at the start of the turn means after he played the first Tyrant, he waited for 4 or 5 seconds, which meant that Casie maybe has the read that there's a Flute in hand as well. You said at the start Casie is such a strong hand reader. I think he will be able to realize that there is a Flute and maybe a Plague in hand as well.
Yeah, and the reason I was oohing while you were doing that is that Farsight hit Grumble and the
that is insane.
ooze that he needed. Just really nice.
I will agree with you there.
Try not to do that too often. I know people hate it when the casters go, ooh, it's exciting, but just Electra Farsight's exciting nearly always.
Oh man. You kind of forget how ridiculous 2 Keleseth look compared to 1.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because you think that, you know, aren't you happy with 1 Keleseth? What's wrong with you? But 2 just makes it even just so much more ridiculous.
This is completely ridiculous. Sacrificing off a minion there because, you know, the Lich King needs to die anyway. It's better against Plague. Why not?
Worth pointing out that the way that Casie has approached this is, remember, he didn't Keleseth on 3. He went for the card draw, and that is allowing him to keep this board refreshed turn after turn after turn. He's managed to stick this Mana Tide because of it. Yeah, he managed to get the double Farsight. Yeah. He's just drawn more gas repeatedly.
Orange here again showing his style as a Malagos Druid player, of being very willing to throw down the Flute. just as like, just as a minion here, just as a Lich King.
Yeah.
It's not for the combo. It does mean now he's ended up with double Death Grip, which gives a a reasonable chance, I would say, of just stealing the Shuttlewalk straight out of the deck.
So, we probably see that sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Obviously, the quicker you do it, the more chance you've got of scintillating the guy.
Like, there's not that many more minions in the deck. Now, double Life Drink has been drawn. There's one Chain Gang left in there.
Got to be aware to lethal, though. This Keleseth buff is just setting up lethals turn after turn now.
That's also true. That is the way that Casie has been playing this. He's just been showing his style of player as a smack you round the face kind of player.
Yeah, and Orange is being forced to think here. Obviously, double swipe always slows you down because there's usually a better thing than their first looks available. But he can just die if he missteps.
I mean, he has the option of Army of the Dead to try and find Malagos in the top 5 cards of his deck and then going for swipe if he wanted to. It's a very risky play. But the thinking is, if you don't get Malagos, you burn 5 cards which aren't Malagos, so it gets you closer to drawing the Malagos, which is obviously a very, very good card to draw from here on in.
This Death Grip to me suggests he is going to double swipe.
Okay.
Yeah, just getting it done first, make sure the information doesn't change. Oh! He's lost his Malagos and his Wok. There's the Casie laugh yet again.
Poor man. I'm not sure who he's looking off to there. Maybe some higher being.
Probably you.
Yeah.
Not that you'd be a higher being, but...
I'm taller than him.
Taller being. This is going to be pretty devastating. If Orange can survive one more turn after this...
Somewhere, if you listen carefully, you can almost hear Sinto shouting for joy as the curse has been passed.
In fairness, he kind of got out of that in Atlanta as well.
Yeah.
Sinto kind of had it reversed the other way in all of his matches, and now Casie is the man suffering.
Casie has losing the key minion that your deck is built around curse.
Wow. That's a really specific curse.
It's a really specific and really unfortunate curse to have, yeah.
But Casie has still found, like, we're joking around, but he's still finding ways to generate because of that double Keleseth. You know, 9/9 Grumble is pretty monstrous. And if you naturalize it, you draw two big things.
Casie is not out of the game, so we should have made clear. It's a big blow to his strategy, of course. But Orange's own win condition is really limited now. He's used a Moonfire and 2 swipes. That's pretty much all the damage just
4/5 chain
gone
gang
from his deck. I was getting excited for a second there. I thought that was the new patch coming into effect, but obviously Keleseth buff has always been able to be slowed.
I was actually going to do the same thing, but I didn't want to make myself have to look silly.
Don't worry, I'm here to look silly for you. As I'm trying to think, what does the Shudderwock do now in terms of battle cries? No Azalina in the deck, obviously. It plays a Chain Gang now, so the Shudderwock will copy itself when it's played by Orange.
Yeah.
But there's like no other minions in the deck. It would just be Alexstrasza.
Mind Control Tech if that becomes relevant.
Okay, yeah.
But he's 8 cards ahead in deck. He can just sit back and not die and he should be okay.
Well, not dying is quite difficult, actually, I would say here, because every minion that Casie is playing is still really scary.
Oh, here's Hemet, Minion of Doom.
I would just put Casie in the lead here. He is saying, I don't care about fatigue at all. Let's get all this rubbish out of my deck. I'm just going to win in the next turn or two, or I'm not winning at all.
Yep. And Orange is just hanging by a thread, really. He can deal with these things. He only has to deal with 3 more minions, probably, but I'm not sure he can do it. It's going to be so close.
Oh, man, but Casey's just running out of stuff. Like, does he have any more minions left? Both Chain Gangs are gone. Both Life Drinkers are gone. Grumble, Shudderwock. That's like it. That's every minion gone from his deck. He needs Hagatha now, but he doesn't have any more minions to get the value from Hagatha.
Got that Beetle.
It's just Hemet.
Beetle, card from Hagatha, blow up your own board. And Orange is so low on health. And Casie will get through a Scarab with Volcano. Orange can't rely on the 8/8. The 8/8 will survive the Volcano, everything else will die.
Oh, okay.
So that's got to be something he's got to be careful of.
Yeah, you're right, you're right. But I mean, like, Orange just does druid things now. He gains a million armor, he naturalizes it. Like, I think if the naturalize is there, Casie can kind of just give up right now.
And he's got the headset off. And Orange has done to Casie what Gallon did to Casie. And that is a Rapido 3-0.
That was disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? I mean, what we can say is the Druid Mirror was incredibly well played by Orange.
Yes, I think
it makes
so.
it easy when you've got two Malagis, but he got into that position where it looked good. He didn't get scared of his health total going down. He knew he had it under control. Didn't get scared of Casey's high armor, but like you say, not a lot else you can say. Like, how can you judge Casey's play on that game? You can't really.
I liked a lot of what I saw in the Druid Mirror, the obvious willingness to dissemble their own combos, because that doesn't get there once the Malfurion has been played. When Malfurion the Pestilent comes down, the ability to deal enough damage to kill them just isn't there, because they can gain 50-60 armor so easily.
And Orange is knowing that Casey would probably have to respond with Ultimate Infestation.
Yes, yeah.
So he didn't want to get behind in Fatigue, but knew that he could.
Yeah.
Just for one turn. That was kind of cool, but not a lot else you can say.
Yeah, I mean, losing your Malagos, losing your Shudderwock, both off of Death Grip.
So anyway, as that one was so quick, we are going to take a short break and set you up another match. We were going to end it there, but we'll give you one more for today, so we'll see you in just a minute.